Welcome to Tuttle Talk, a part of the Real Estate Radio Network. And now, live in studio, offering you a fresh perspective. He's your local real estate and finance expert. He's part of the Common Sense Party, and he's committed to teaching you how to win in any market. Your host, Andy Tuttle.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tuttle Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network, where we teach you what the rich and the banks do, not what they tell you to do, and where we dispel the misconceptions of financial wellness and the local real estate market and show you how following a few key principles really can free you up to focus on the other important areas of your life, like your friends, your family, and the community. It's the most important hour of radio every Sunday, 3 p.m. right here on 660 a.m. The Answer. I am your host, Andy Tuttle. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been in the mortgage industry for 12 years, and I am dedicated and committed to helping you build your financial team. It's so important right now. Lowest interest rates in history, highest foreclosure rates. We're coming out of that. It's very important that you focus on those things. You focus on what's happening so you can win in any market, and we want to help you do that here today. On the show today, we've got a packed show. We've got a lot of great people here. We're going to talk with Candy Evans in our real-time real estate segment. She's from Candy's Dirt. She is the blogger, the Candy Evans, award-winning now. Isn't that right, Brian?
Yeah, I believe so. That's correct.
And the D Magazine, she won an award in D Magazine as well. And she's going to be here to discuss what the Nasher, Frank Lloyd Wright, and your home have in common. That should be an interesting discussion. I'm also going to settle my battle with Gabe Abshire. Gabe, welcome to the show.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. We're going to get rid of we're going to figure out this electricity bill deal. I'm telling you, you're going to take care of it right here today on the show. I don't know how yet.
Can't wait. I'm not even have to do it.
Oh, man.
Got a secret plan for you, buddy.
Oh, geez.
I'm excited.
To nest or not to nest, that is the question. And then, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm sure you've heard of it by now. The Frisco deal, the Cowboys deal. There's a little bit of an uproar, but hey, man, it's been like 25 years in the making. We'll talk about that. You'll get our opinions on it as well. I'm sure you've gotten so many others. And then I am going to get with our very own Lars Lofstrand. He's a premium. He should be premium. He's a premier business coach and trainer, and you've heard me talk to him many, many times. He's going to be on the show very regularly now, and he is an expert contributor to the show, and he is going to start a little series on the 5 biggest regrets people have in their life. Is it regrets?
It absolutely is, with an A.
With an A, Ray Gertz. The 5 biggest regrets people have in their lives, what to do about it if you're in that situation, or maybe even how to avoid them. So I'm very excited to hear what you have to say and starting this theme, buddy. It's real valuable stuff. If you haven't heard any of Lars stuff in the past, go to andytuttle.com. You can download a lot of those discussions on the psychology of why you think the way you think, the way you can stay motivated, get motivated, make smart decisions, and really just every time you're on the show, man, it gets people pumped up. So happy to have you here.
Good to be back. Thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Our special guests also, Garrett Hand and Mike Kemper of Elite Inspection Group. So this is interesting. There are a lot of inspection companies out there, but one of the partners of this group has been a realtor for a long, long time. And so what that does, it gives a unique perspective of when they're going in to do the inspections of your home, and they're going to show you how to avoid some of the major pitfalls. I mean, inspections are the biggest reason why contracts fall through. They're one of the biggest ones. So this will show you how to avoid some of those pitfalls and make that happen. And then, of course, we get with John Allen. He's got a warning for you today, so you better stay tuned for that. And then the favorite segment of the show coming up at the end, more cool tech with Brian Moore, and this one is a doozy. This is a really cool app. He showed me today. I can't wait for you to get to it a little later in the show.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's pretty darn cool.
Of course you're excited about it. You're a freaking geek. You're a tech geek. That's why you do the freaking segment. You can reach out to us during or after the show. My off-air hotline, 214-736-9696, 214-736-9696, or you can text Tuttle, text the word Tuttle, to 72727. You'll get all the information there that you need to reach out to us and connect with any expert contributor on the show. And remember, you can become a fan of the show on Facebook at Tuttle Talk. Okay, guys, headlines. Frisco. My goodness gracious. I mean, I think this is at least some kind of a winning decision. They need some winning decisions on that team, and at least they'll be in a really good city for Frisco. And Frisco wins a little bit, I think, because property values go up, yes?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think they lost their lineman this week, or one of their offensive linemen, the main guy, one of the guards. Can't even remember his name. This is pathetic. I don't even pay attention to Cowboys anymore.
Yeah, property values go up just like they would have went up if the stadium would have been downtown.
What happened there, Laura? Come on, Laura Miller.
Yeah.
That's a whole different story. Well, Frisco here wins. Everybody outside. Frisco wins. Arlington wins.
Not Dallas.
Not Dallas.
Not the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
Yeah.
The Arlington Frisco Cowboys.
Yeah.
The ex-Irving, now Arlington Frisco Cowboys win. There's some uproar, though, because, the taxpayers have been upset that they didn't get involved in the decision to approve this big new stadium. It's like it's going to seat like 12,000 people. They're going to use it for high school games, and the taxpayers' dollars don't go up. No money's coming from the taxpayers, but they're upset they weren't involved in the decision. Shocking, isn't it?
Take the victory and let's move forward, right? I mean, come on.
It's going to be great for everybody.
Wouldn't upset me.
Of course, nothing upsets you, though, really, Gabe.
Just you, buddy. That's it.
Hey, I'm still trying to figure out the whole football thing itself.
You
Just don't understand it.
Does it even?
I have no idea. So I don't even know what the big deal is, So
Wait a second. So do you ever watch pro football here?
I try to, but I just don't understand it. So.
You flip the channel. It's like golf to
channel.
you when you were a kid. I love watching golf now, but is it like the most boring sport for you to watch?
Well, baseball's probably the most boring sport next to cricket.
That's good that at least, we're not the only ones that think cricket's boring. I mean, I don't understand that.
Cricket
You guys are making tons of friends here, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. But rugby, is that your game?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever play rugby?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You did play rugby. He's freaking huge. Of course you played rugby. We'll get into one of these days. I will get into what the rugby's all about because I've been to some of those cool Irish pubs, and they'll like at Trinity Hall on Mockingbird in 75, and they play all the rugby games. And it is a great place. It's great beer, full bar, but it's just and they'll have a Celtic band play, and then they'll do all the games. And it's people in there. You definitely get. It's a good mixer. It's actually a very good diverse. There's a lot of Europeans there. You hear a lot of different languages going on, and people are enjoying the sport. So I have no idea what I'm watching, but it's pretty exciting.
Well, that's how I feel with football.
Right.
Aren't rugby and football kind of similar in some ways?
Yeah, they both have a ball.
Yeah.
There's a goal on each end.
Funny shaped ball.
There's running around. There's tackling, and
One wears a helmet, one doesn't. That's the only difference on that.
Yeah, that's right. You're listening to Tuttle Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. John, I was talking to you earlier, and you said you had a warning that for me, actually on my own, because I got an email, and then you had a warning for not only me, but you decided that it'd be a good warning to put out to the listeners.
Hey, at least we sent it to you before your premium went up, right?
Thank
we kind
you
of gave
very
you a
much.
heads up. So,
Yeah.
I was telling you that watch your premiums because with the property losses last year and the year before, all the carriers are going nuts on the renewals, right? So the warning isn't that your premium's going up. That's pretty much a given. The warning is more on be careful when you shop it, and you should shop it. Anytime you shop it, make sure you understand what you're comparing it to, because the tricks that guys in my trade will do is to reduce the amount of dwelling. They'll increase your deductibles. They'll do all sorts of things that make it look like your premium hasn't gone up a lot, but in fact, they're diluting the coverage that you're getting. So you got to be really careful. Related to that, there are carriers out there that are taking their the coverage and instead of having a replacement roof for 20 years, they're making it 7 years, and then they flip it to ACV. ACV means they depreciate it. You basically pay for it out of pocket. You may or may not be seeing that in your renewal. Other carriers are taking mandatory wind hail deductibles from 1%, which is what you're probably used to, 1% of your dwelling, up to 2% of your dwelling. You got to look out for that kind of stuff because your premium may go up a little bit, but if your coverages are changing material, that's a big deal if you have a claim.
So let me make sure that everybody's clear on that. So one ACV, actual cash value, basically.
Right.
So you have a $10,000 roof claim,
Right.
but it's X number of years old.
Right.
Isn't it after 10 years or something?
It's after whatever period of time they
That's
define.
predetermined, right? After that, it starts depreciating a certain amount. So you may have a $10,000 claim. They're only going to pay $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 of that.
Right. They take 10 cents on the dollar after deductible, and you basically get nothing for your roof. So
Right.
Be careful of that.
That is a big thing to be careful for because, again, we talk about this all the time. A little bit of savings up front or seeming savings. You're not going to want the lowest cost provider when something happens to your house or your roof caves in or something gets stolen or you have a flood because you think, oh, well, it's all covered. No. They'll fix the pipe. They'll fix some of the leak. But if you don't have the right coverage, it's going to cost you a lot, and they're not going to fix everything that got ruined necessarily.
Here's what the deductible on the roof means, too. So if you have you live in a $300,000 house, you got a $3,000 deductible. Now your deductible goes to $6,000. That's a lot to be out of pocket to fix your roof. You just need to know that's the case. 2-3 years ago, the carriers were somewhat forgiving on accidents and minor claims. First claim you get now, first accident you get, first ticket you get. In the case of an auto, they're going to jack your premium up in a lot of cases. So yes, do shop, but make sure you understand what you're comparing to.
You're listening to Tuttle Talk. If you want to shop and you want to shop right, and you want to make sure that that's not happening to you, which is why I changed, because it was happening to me, call us 214-736-9696. We'll get you connected with John Allen, and he will make sure that he is doing a right comparison for you. 214-736-9696, or you can always text Talk Now, one word, no spaces, Talk Now to 72727, and we'll get you taken care of. Talk Now, one word, no spaces, to 72727. When we come back, we are going to get with Candy Evans of Candy's Dirt and talk to you about what's going on the market and how Frank Lloyd Wright and the Nasher and your home all have something in common. And we're going to see if Gabe Abshire of Utility Concierge can settle this electricity bill debacle at my house. Stay with us. Welcome back, Dallas. You're listening to Tuttle Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. I am your host, Andy Tuttle. Don't forget, you can listen on the 660 AM app on your iPhone or your Android, and you can reach us at 214-736-9696, 214-736-9696, and become a fan of the show. You can find us on Facebook at Tuttle Talk. Now, told you we were going to get to the real-time real estate segment, which we love. We do every week, and this week we have a very special guest on the show with us, Candy Evans of Candy's Dirt. Candy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello.
It's great to have you back.
Thanks. I had such a good time the last time, so happy to be back. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you here, and I know that you are staying busy. I mean, you went to New York, you went to Austin, you're doing blogs here in Dallas, you got people all over that read it, and you just got an award. Now, you got one award through D Magazine, and is that the award that we've been talking about?
No.
It's not even another one, right?
He was kind enough to actually nominate me for one of their best blogs, but I didn't win. I think it was Crave or something. I won't get into this, but sometimes these little voting things, I mean, I don't hire people to sit there and push a button and vote for me, whatever.
But you did win an award, though, recently, if I remember.
The award I won, which really meant a lot to me because it was a peer award from the National Association of Real Estate Editors. And
whoa, that's huge.
Yeah, that was because that was people from like the Wall Street Journal and people from the Atlantic Constitution. I mean, it was all kind of really super old-time journalist people who know what real estate reporting is all about. And actually, both I and Joanna England wrote one for the stuff that we've been doing. They said that we managed to write about big, beautiful homes in a way that wasn't mean or snarky and kind of relayed real estate information in a very fresh, interesting way. So that, to me, was just like, oh, my God. I even got a little money for it, so that was nice.
Well, congratulations. It's well-earned and well-deserved. And,
Thank you.
You bet. And, speaking of that on your blog and you talking about real estate, you have some interesting, we were in a discussion earlier just about kind of the dangers of what happens when people get maybe the creative gets crazy on their home. And you kind of took me way back to the 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. And I'd like you to share that story with us and and how that relates to what we're talking about.
Well, one of the most, we have many, many significant homes in Dallas, but I think if I were to pick, one of the top 3 or 5, it's the Stanley Marcus home, which is in 10 Nonsuch, and it's in Lakewood. It's just right off of Westlake there, just a little bit east of Abrams. And the home was built in 1937, 1938, and it was commissioned by Stanley Marcus himself. And the story that goes with this house is amazing. He wanted Frank Lloyd Wright to actually design the home, so he went and visited Wright at his at his home up there in Wisconsin, and had Wright come to Dallas to, sketch out the plans. And, of course, Wright is a great architect, a great name. I mean, if I were Stanley Marcus at the time, I'd probably yes, I want him. I mean, I guess the equivalent today would be, Robert A.M. Stern or someone like that, to do your home. So Wright comes out. It's a 70-degree day in January. It's a very rare time. But, we've had those days in January, where it's really nice and warm. And so Wright comes out and he looks around the lot, and it's a huge, 5 acres up there in Lakewood, beautiful. And he designs a home that is basically better fit for Hawaii because it had, the bedrooms were separate from the houses. You could just go outside, and he even told Stanley Marcus he could sleep in the trees, and he didn't need, walls around his bedroom. And then, of course, he designed a home with no closets for Stanley Marcus, the retail king. Clothes were very important to him. And, of course, Marcus said, well, there's no closets. And Frank Lloyd Wright said, you don't need closets. I mean, that's just for unnecessary stuff anyhow. So needless to say, he did not get the He did not get the design. They did not choose him to be the architect. They chose a wonderful architect locally named Roscoe DeWitt. It's all on my blog. You can read about it, the whole story.
You should read that whole story at candysdirt.com for sure.
Yes,
And I tell you what, so it's like, you talk about that guy having no closets. Because it was super creative. Then you go to the Nasher where they've got very creative, but then, like we were discussing, they didn't forward think to know maybe, hey, there's another building going up. Something's going to happen, and it's going to reflect and ruin your paintings because that's what's happening now.
Well, it's going to alter. It's going to alter the light source, you know. And okay, so there's so many arguments about that we could probably have like 5 segments on that.
We only have 2 minutes
and all that, but we could just say that it was taller than it was supposed to be. The point is, something was going to be there anyhow at some point. And,
Correct.
We do live in a city. We don't have 10,000 acres around us unless we go out in the country, and we've got people living around us, and so that we have to work with that. Sometimes the artistic can go a little bit wild, and people have to be really careful of this because a lot of times people say to me, when I'm building a home, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Will I get that out of it? And I say, maybe not. You might not get it out. If you can afford it, if you want to do it, and you just want to live in that house, that's great. But you do have to kind of be aware of the fact that if you go to sell it or refinance it, as you know, in your business, that extra little creative thing is not maybe everyone's cup of tea. What do you think?
That's exactly right. And that's the point of this, is that, as you can see, it's great. You get great stories out of the artistic and the creative, and the Frank Lloyd Wright, Stanley Marcus story. And the Nashers, it's beautiful, but if you don't think about the practical, if you don't kind of ground yourself in some of those questions and ask the questions, will I get value out of this? Will I get it back before you start the build or before you decide to do a renovation that has a weird spiral go nowhere staircase then in your house, then you need to ask the questions, is it sellable? And you have to bring that back in our world today if you want to be able to sell the home and get out of that home and recreate and be artistic again in a new space.
Well, that's why so many people in the financial field go, ooh, real estate's not liquid. No, some real estate is not liquid, but if it's sort of vanilla enough, it can be liquid, don't you think?
I absolutely think so, and it's never liquid. It's not liquid because it takes you time. It will never move the same as a
security or stock.
Correct, but I get what you're saying, and I agree with you to that point that you can move it much quicker, and it can be a very great wealth creation financial tool for you. Right. And so I 100% agree with that, and I thank you so much for being on the show, Candy. We'll make sure to have you back with more great stories. If you want to check out Candy, go to candysdirt.com. If you want to get connected with her, 214-736-9696. Thanks so much, Candy.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on as ever.
You bet. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. Now I want to get to our good friend, Gabe Abshire. Gabe, we've had this battle royale going on for the last few weeks, and it's time to settle this. My electric bill, I pay too much, I found out. I pay 13 cents a kilowatt hour. Stop.
One more time? How much?
13 cents.
13 cents. Okay.
Wow. And I have all these great connections.
Great connections.
Apparently that's too high.
Yeah, a little bit.
So the wife...
It's like in John's business. Yeah, rates just went up and didn't even pay attention to it.
That's right. Okay.
It's like a 40% increase.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Hey, okay.
No, it's good. Here, we're getting to it. I'm taking my licks today. So my wife wants the Nest. And my wife wants the Nest. And I was talking to you about it, and you were talking about those cool other tools that we have, and that, the Nest, they're giving it away, but you're paying for it.
Yeah, it's just like in your business. You're paying for a rate.
So you said you had a challenge for me today. What is that challenge, sir?
I think we should just call the utility concierge office and settle and let one of the concierges tell you your options. If you want to go with that Nest and that higher rate, not a problem. But we'll show you how we can save you some money. And if you want to lose out on that, then that's fine. But we'll give you your options and you can choose. We'll show you how it is.
Coming up, I'm going to call Utility Concierge. We're going to get them on the line during the break, and we're going to talk to them and settle this once and for all right after this. Welcome back. You're listening to Tuttle Talk on the Real Estate Radio Network. Okay, Gabe Abshire's here. We're taking on a big challenge, if you're just joining us, about my electricity bill that is apparently way overpriced. Paying 13 cents a kilowatt hour, and now my wife really wants the Nest. It's a Reliant deal. And it's a, Brian, what is it again, like very quickly?
It is a smart thermostat. It basically learns your habits of when you like it cool, when you like it warm, when you leave the home, things like that.
Okay. So apparently that's supposed to save us a lot of money. That's the deal. Now, my deal is like, well, I don't know. I don't care about the Nest. But my wife does, which means I do care about it, sweetheart, because I care about you and I love you very much, my beautiful pregnant wife. But
does she like the Nest or does she like Matthew McConaughey?
Well, both.
The deal there?
I mean, nobody's dirty and smelly these days, so I guess she doesn't like him as much. But what we did during the break, like we told you, we called Gabe's office. We have Jordan on the line from Utility Concierge. Jordan, you there?
I sure am. How's it going, guys?
Hey, it's going great. Okay, so sorry to surprise you like this, but not that sorry. So here's the deal.
It's the confidence that I have in my concierge.
That's right.
Call them anytime.
That's right. I love it.
24 hours a day.
Yeah, okay, good. 24 hours a day. Are you okay with that?
If Gabe says so, yes.
Oh, nice. That's a good man. Okay, so I just want to go through this process. So we've just called you. You've answered the phone, Jordan with Utility Concierge, and I'm going to tell you my issue, right? So let's just do that.
Let's do it.
Okay, so you heard part of the backstory just there. My wife wants the Nest, and I guess what I need to see is it worth it going with Reliant to get the Nest to control the thermostat or whatever it is, or to go with maybe just another provider and, I don't know, buy the Nest or something.
Right. And, this is a very common thing that we get all the time from our customers. A lot of the companies that are advertising on TV or the radio, they're really trying to make electricity sexy again. I don't know if it ever was, but it's more of a plan to get more customers in the door. And Reliant's a great company, first of all. I want to say anything bad about them, but this plan is not usually one that I would recommend. Well, most of the time, and I train my guys to say this all the time, it's all about finding the no-nonsense companies. And with this rate, it's actually called the Reliant Free Weekends 24-month plan. The actual rate you're getting is considerably higher than some of the other companies out there. Right now, it's sitting at about 11.5 cents on average, and there are plenty of plans out there that you can get, right around 8.5 cents. And they don't get a free learning thermostat like the Nest, which is a great product, but you can save about $60 a month just by getting a lower rate, basically.
Really, $60 a month. So in 3 months, I can buy or 4 months, I can buy the Nest on my own. And use another, and then I'm making profit from there on out. Now here's the deal, and I just to make sure you guys get this. This guy doesn't work for another electricity company; they work for Utility Concierge, and so their job is to connect you and make sure they're helping you find the best deals, whether it's internet, security, electricity, whatever it is. And so you're telling me, baby, you're hearing this. So let's say those numbers again: 11.5 cents with the Reliant, whatever nights and weekends, 24/7, 24-month plan with the Nest,
right?
Or maybe between 8.5 and 9 cents.
Yeah,
on another carrier.
And that's the thing that we like to make sure our customers know. We're here to break through all of the fine print and make sure that we're getting you the absolute best plan available. So when you get a plan like this, and they've even taken it a step further by offering free weekends. But the numbers that I'm giving you are factoring in everything: the weekend, the Nest thermostat, and everything. And you end up getting a bottom line that's considerably cheaper. You can buy that Nest thermostat and still save about $470 over the course of a year just by going with a no-nonsense plan.
Well, I tell you, we could have saved a lot of time on this call by asking if I was a decision maker in the family, because when it comes to this, I'm not, but I'm an influencer, as Lars will teach you. And so,
might be the gatekeeper.
Get your wife on the line if you like.
Speed bump.
Well, we can't do that today for time's sake, but I tell you what, baby, you're listening to this. 8.5 cents to 11 cents. Now, if I was the decision maker, what is the next step that I would do?
All you got to do is you can give your concierge a call, give me a call. We can get you set up. It's a very simple process. We can get you taken care of and connected most of the time next day.
Okay.
Sometimes if you're switching, for example, if you're not moving, they'll take about 6 to 7 days to get in your name. But we always recommend being proactive. And it's always good to call a concierge at our company, even if you're just curious to see what's out there.
This guy, you got him really trained. He's selling right here on the deal. Okay, Jordan, we got to go. Thank you very much. I think I know what I want to do. I've shown the numbers. Babies, my wife's got the numbers now. It all makes sense. Thanks so much.
Hey, no problem, guys. Have a great one.
If you want to get in touch with Utility Concierge, you can go to utilityconcierge.com. My goodness, good old Jordan. Gee whiz, that's great work. And then, or you can call us 214-736-9696. We'll get you connected.
I've got an idea.
Okay.
Here's what you should do. Buy her the Nest.
As a gift.
And then buy her a poster of Matthew McConaughey. It's a win-win.
That's a win for both of us. Wait a second.
Hey.
That's ridiculous.
Hey, I thought Jordan would have sold her the 2 gig system.
Yeah.
He's been trying on this show
Well,
to
you
get me
know
on the
what?
2 gig, man.
The client only wanted to know information about about electricity, so that's what he does.
I know. He told me about the clamps and the whole deal. All right, Lars, look, speaking of, I will have a regret if I don't get my wife involved in this decision. That wouldn't be the 5 biggest regrets of my life. But I know that what you're talking about is the big regrets that people make in their lives besides choosing bad electricity that's 4 cents above the going rate per kilowatt hour. But Lars is here to talk to us about this, and he brings this kind of depth to the show, and really he's brought it to my life and many of our listeners' lives over the last year. And Lars, I'm happy to have you here today to talk about those type of regrets.
Well, Andy, there was this Australian nurse, Bronnie Ware, and she was looking after patients that had 12 weeks to live, 12 weeks left in their life to live. And she started noting that they all had similar regrets that they had. And she started writing these down, and she found that there were 5 of the most common regrets of the dying, she called it. And yeah, those are the things that I want to talk about. Now, I actually want to give you 1 a week, if that's okay. And so we don't give them all now, but...
well, I cut your time short with that call, so you only have time for one today, so that's perfect.
Okay, well, perfect. Okay, so, well, you'll be surprised at what some of them were. And she actually says here, and I hope I can mention this, but she says there was no mention of more sex or bungee jumps.
Nice combination there.
Exactly.
Or sex while bungee jumping. Neither of those were in there.
So... the first one she noted, and she has them in a specific order, and the one I want to share today is that the number 1 regret was that I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. So that was the number 1 regret of the dying. So in other words, what they were saying was that this was the most common regret, but they felt that when they realized their life is almost over and looked back clearly on it, it was easy for them to see how, many of their dreams had gone unfulfilled. And, most of them had not, honored half of their dreams that they had. And dying knowing that they had those regrets was a terrible thing for them. And they realized that it was either through the choices they had made, or listen to this, to the choices they hadn't made. So it all boils down to a choice that we make, and you are who you are. And we talk about this on the shows, that
it's worth talking about again.
You are who you are because of the choices you make, no more, no less. So we tend to blame everything and everyone around us except the person who can change it. So don't have that number 1 regret of, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not a life others expect of me.
That reminds me, because that's very powerful, of course, and it reminds me of what you say to the world. What's your quote? I'm going to butcher it now.
Oh, it's my favorite quote.
I know that.
But I never can think of it.
The world, hold on, is not the way you see the world is not the way the world is, but rather the way you are.
Correct.
And so that's what happens when you start to blame and do these things. But what I get from what you just said, and not having that regret in my own life, being young, of course, and you don't know when you're going to die. You hope that you live a full life and get to be asked those questions at that age and be able to even at least have that list of regrets as opposed to being cut short. But is that when you talk about the choice and making a choice not to focus on the negative and not to focus on the blame, because you're really just robbing yourself from that. And I think we all have stories of people that are like that and that drag you down, and then you hang out with them, and then that ends up pulling you deeper into their misery.
Well, what they say is you become like the 6 people you hang around the most with. So here's something I have to say to the listeners out there. If you're not happy with, who you're hanging out with, well, then change who your friends are. So if you don't like what you're getting, change what you do. And it's that simple. And that goes back to the choice thing that they said, the choices you either make or fail to make, for that matter. In fact, the choices we fail to make are sometimes you have the biggest impact on our lives than the choices we actually make. Because the ones that you make, you can correct. The ones that you don't make, sometimes you can't correct.
No, you're right. You can't correct those. And that's something that I hope you take away from that. Thank you for that little nugget. And I'm excited to hear not only that, but the next 4 regrets that there are, and how we can dive a little deeper even next time and have a little more time to go into it and kind of build on it. Because I think the idea is not to go over the 5 regrets just and let them die on themselves, but like you said, help you focus on what you can do today to not have those regrets, to make the proper choices today to build the future that you want to see. And I know that a lot has to do with having a vision, and we're definitely going to have you back on and talk about that, because I know that's what you teach on and are very passionate about, helping people have a right vision so they can pull themselves dynamically to their future.
Looking forward to it.
Good. So if you want to get the rest of those, 1, stay tuned every week, or 2, you can text TALK now to 72727. Talk now to 72727 to get you the list of the 5 regrets and some of Laura's key points on how to avoid those regrets later in your life. And make sure you make the right decisions now to build the future that you want. You're listening to Tuttle Talk. When we come back, we're going to get with Elite Inspection Group and Garrett Hand of Elite Inspection Group. We're going to talk to him about why being a realtor helps him have a unique perspective when he goes into your home and what are the major pitfalls that you can avoid when you are getting an inspection on your home and looking to buy a new home. And then we'll get into more cool tech with our main man, Brian Moore. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're listening to Tuttle Talk here on the Real Estate Radio Network. We're here for the last segment of the show. We're very excited to have you with us, and we are going to get right to the man of the hour, our special guest, Garrett Hand of Elite Inspection Group. Garrett, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. So now we talked about this already. You know, you own, you're a partner in an inspection company. You guys have a great team under you, and what helps give us a unique perspective, or you a unique perspective, is that you're also a realtor.
Yes.
And so you understand what things can affect the home buyer, and also how to negotiate and talk with the seller and talk with the listing agent and talk to the people involved to make sure that that you can still close on the home and get the issues resolved.
Right.
Okay. So let's cover some basics real quick. Whoops, that's just my pen flying all over the room. Brian never wants me to have a pen, but I just cannot get it out of my hand.
It's too noisy.
It's too noisy. You're too noisy. Turn off his mic. So, Garrett, first of all, what is an inspection and what does it cover?
An inspection is a detailed look of everything, basically from the roof to the foundation, all the nuts and bolts, wiring, plumbing, anything that can be defective in the house. And what's involved is we go in and look at it, and we help the buyer determine what's wrong, what's not up to code, so that they can get it fixed before they purchase a house, or they know what they're getting into when they purchase their house.
Okay. So does that mean that it covers everything, that it covers termite, that it covers anything else that has to do with the home?
Termites, pool inspection. You can drop a sewer cam down to check the sewer. Pretty everything that's involved in the structure and the basically survey of your property.
So, okay. So then when do people typically get it? Just when we know the answer to this, but when do people typically get an inspection?
They typically get inspection about, there's a 10-day option period, usually is typical. It could be 7, it could be 5, but you want it done as soon as possible from when you execute your contract. That way you have enough time to negotiate the repairs before that option period's up.
That's very important, because a lot of times, too, especially if it's on an iffy house, you want to get that inspection done before you order the appraisal. Because if you don't know, because that appraisal gets ordered, that clock's done, you get charged $375 or $425, depending on the type of appraisal, how big the home is, etc. You want to get that done. You want to get your inspection done first sometimes if you've got a questionable decision to make, so you can say yay or nay and get out of there before you spend any more money.
Correct. Yeah, it can be a make or break on whether you get the house or not, or want the house.
Right, and I know it's one of the biggest things that does make or break the deals is the inspection report.
It's the number one deal killer in negotiations is the inspection.
Well, let me ask a question on this, and I think this is important for the listeners, is that what would you say, in your opinion, is the best way to choose an inspection company? Because there's a lot of companies to choose from there, and I'm sure you've got some good ones and you've got some bad ones. In your opinion, what would you say is the most important aspect in a buyer choosing an inspection company?
There are several things. One thing I like to say is the education that's involved in it, because anybody can look at a piece of paper and say this is code or this is not code, but how do we translate that? So the education behind the inspector is important. One thing that's not, I wouldn't say it's PC or not, but I would say the health of an inspector. And the reason I say that is I know someone that a few years back that had a house inspected, and the guy couldn't get under in the crawl space. He was too big to fit. And when that happens, there's a lot that get involved. In this instance, there was a slab leak underneath, and there was a lot of damages that came from that. And so you want to, health, the education that's involved, and also just how quick they can get out and do it in a timely manner.
I got to cut you off before you get there, though, because I had that same issue on my house. The inspector was literally too big to get under my piers, and he couldn't get to a leak that was under the bathroom. Now, that's what we had the home warranty for, but I tell you what, it wasn't a very pretty time when we got into that house, and all of a sudden everything's backing up in our house. We have guests and company over at our housewarming party, and it was really bad. And we were like, what just happened? And it was because someone couldn't get under there, and they're not responsible for what they can't get to. So make sure the guy's healthy and fit.
Right. And at the same time, you want to make sure that your inspectors are up to date on the technology as well. There are a lot of things that you can go with. Sewer cams that some people aren't doing. If people can't fit under the crawl spaces, which we're getting into now, is you can get robots to go under there and take pictures with infrared and things like that. Also, there's one thing that we're starting to do is get a drone, a helicopter drone, to go on roofs that people can't go on. There are a lot, the 2-story houses here in the Metroplex, the roofs are steep and guys just don't want to go. Well, you can't take pictures that far down, but if we can get something up there to look, then you're going to feel better about buying your house, and the value's going to stay if you've got a better roof than if you don't.
That's pretty smart. Lars, you got anything else? I see you chomping at the bit.
Let's see. I do have a couple things here, but let me ask you this one first. So maybe this is too premature to ask, but let me ask it anyways. What do you find is the thing that buyers ask the most from an inspection? In other words, something's wrong, and it's the thing that comes up all the time. And in fact, as realtors, we find that deals fall through because of certain things that the inspection brings up.
Right now, it's foundation, and we're in Texas, and I say that there's two things with foundation. This is just me. You're either going to get work done or you've had work done. And a lot of times just a crack in a wall, which is actually sheetrock because they didn't float it right, people freak out that it's a foundation. And sometimes inspectors that aren't qualified in looking at foundations will make that same decision, and that affects the whole sale. It affects the buyer, the seller, both agents, and it can be drastic when it comes up to that.
Well, so do you recommend then a specialized inspection on the actual foundation by a foundation company? So the inspector can find out, hey, this could have inspection problems. Does he go to a secondary person and say, use this company who specializes in foundations?
Correct. You can do that, but there are also inspectors that are certified to do that as well.
And if they're not, would you recommend that the buyer actually gets a specialized
yes, for sure.
inspection?
Especially in Texas with everything that moves so much. I would definitely recommend that.
Well, and one more question on this, and this is an important one that I would like to ask because I'm coming across this quite a bit as a realtor, is if work has been done, there has been foundation problems and work is done, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because any foundation problems, I'm finding that the client kind of is a little bit put off. But I've heard that sometimes once a foundation has had a problem and it's been properly repaired, it's actually better than before.
Correct. They are making them stronger right now. And most foundation companies are giving a lifetime warranty on it. So regardless if it fails, 10 years from now, you're going to get it fixed for free. So when you're picking one, you need to pick one that will give you that lifetime guarantee.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing that a foundation's been repaired. In fact, it could be a good thing because now better the devil you know than
correct.
the devil you don't.
And most foundations are going to have to be fixed sooner or later.
Okay, good. I love that back and forth. Quickly now, you'll have to answer this, but I want to give one last question for you, Garrett, because you talk about your expertise and some inspectors maybe not knowing that something is just a sheetrock issue and not a foundation issue and scaring people and making things happen that shouldn't happen, and maybe making a deal die that should be a good deal. So how does your expertise specifically help make, and your experience as a realtor, help put those deals together, help a client and a buyer and a seller come together and make a deal work when there are some issues with the house?
From just my experience in the real estate and having deals fall apart because of that. That's one reason I was interested in getting into it. An example, if a blower motor is gone out in an air conditioner, really what we wanted to do as real estate agents is create value for the home for our clients. And it's the same thing as inspectors. We want people to know going in that they're getting good value for what they have. And if a blower motor goes out in an air conditioner, let's say you negotiate $800 off that it's going to cost you to get it repaired. Well, we can then in turn save them money by suggesting, hey, why don't you, give them an option to go through your home warranty when it could cost you $75. Then you've got a then you've got some cash in the bank after that, or you've got money off so that there's better value. You walk in with some equity on that.
So in other words, you get a situation, let's just say, using real simple numbers, low number, $100,000 home, just to make it real simple, and you've got a few $1,000s in repairs that maybe need to be done.
Right.
But they're repairs that the home warranty can cover. Well, listen, get a $97,000 home, and then you can when you get and you max out, you get a great home warranty program, and then you can go and pay $75 when that happens, when the issue comes up, and get it fixed.
Correct.
Because we actually had that happen in our home warranty. We paid $75. That leak I was telling you about, $1,500. We didn't pay. We paid $75.
Right. So you saved $1,425.
Guys, that's a major deal. Inspectors don't know that. They don't know. They have to go back and work. He understands that as an inspector. Elite Inspection Group understands that. If you want to get in touch with them, and you're at a point in time where you need to be thinking about getting an inspection on your home. Heck, maybe you're thinking about selling it, and you want to get kind of a little pre-show of what's going to happen before you put it on the market. Call us, 214-736-9696, 214-736-9696. We'll get you connected with Garrett. Garrett, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It was my pleasure.
All right. Now to our, this is like the Matt Damon joke. You never have any time. Brian Moore, if you don't get it, look up Jimmy Kimmel. More Cool Tech with Brian Moore. Brian, you have 12 seconds. What do you have for us today?
I have an incredible app called Magic Plan. I'll try to make this as short as possible. Basically, if you are a realtor, a contractor, interior designer, stager, like Karen Eubank that we had, what you can do is use the camera on your phone and literally make floor plans on your iPhone, your iPad, whatever. You just take pictures, stand in one part of the room, take pictures of where the corners are. It will literally map out the
Show
room
Gabe real
for
quick.
you.
Watch him. Watch this. He literally did this in my office today, and he took a picture of who's standing in the center of the room, and there's desks and everything. He took a picture of one corner, scanned it over to another corner, scanned it over to another,
awesome.
and another, and it made a floor plan. He went into the other room and did it, and then he connected them together. He made our whole office into a floor plan with one app, and it's 5,000 square feet.
In literally just minutes.
In minutes. What's the app called?
Awesome.
It is called Magic Plan, and it's available on the App Store. The app itself is free. If you want to do certain things like export the apps into PDF, JPEG format, send them to your contractor, whatever, they do have subscription plans available, ranging from $3 to $15, depending on what you do.
Well, if you want to get a hold of that, if you missed it, go to the fan page, go to Tuttle Talk on Facebook. We'll have it posted there. If you're a real estate agent, a contractor, whatever, you want this app, or a stager, but if you just want to have some fun too, there's a lot of other practical uses just for the homeowner. Get that app. That is a great tool, man. Thank you for doing this every single week.
Thank you, Andy.
And thank you for listening. That's it for today's show. I want to thank all my expert contributors. Gabe, wonderful. Thank you for setting me up with electricity today. That was marvelous. Lars, thank you so much. No, Gabe, you can't speak.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for having me back.
You bet. Garrett, thanks so much for being here today. And John Allen as well. I'd also like to thank Dan Bradford, our production director, and the entire family, and of course Sarah, she's the best, and the entire family here at 660 AM The Answer. Remember to tune in next week. We'll be here at Giving You Value. Go to andytuttle.com if you miss the show, if you miss any part, and you want to catch it all in their entirety. And thank you so much for listening to Tuttle Talk, where we're making financial intelligence a priority in the community. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Tuttle Talk on 660 AM The Answer. You can reach Andy at 214-736-9696. That's 214-736-9696. Or email him, questions@andytuttle.com. Don't forget to become a fan of his show by going to facebook.com/Tuttle Talk.